Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're here with the Empire, going to be taking on the foul Skaven. So let's go ahead and take a look at the army compositions. Of course, I've got Volkmar the Grim here up on his chariot. He's got the Grand Hammer of Sigmar and Grand Shield of Faith, new and improved, both lasting 50 seconds with a large area of effect and banishment, of course. We've also got the Jade Griffin for the regeneration, naturally. Front line is going to be swordsmen. We've got two spearmen with shields out to the flanks. Couple of, just the one flagellant actually, and two Reiksguard in the rear. We've also got Vanguarded up, the Zintler's Reiksguard, and 4 units of Pistoliers. In terms of the Skaven army here, I'm actually fighting Jonton of Total Brohammer. This was actually just on his Skaven faction focus stream. So for those of you guys interested, Jonton and Skrolkmar from Total Brohammer have been doing a faction focus for a bunch of the different factions, playing them for a week, trying to get a feel for where they're at. So yeah, if you guys are interested in that, I'll have a link down to their channel in the description below. Definitely go check them out. They're both very good players, so you should probably just check out their channel regardless. But anyway, for the Skaven, Lord Skrolk and an assassin here. He's got 4 Skaven Slave Slingers, which is actually a pretty decent choice. You don't see that too often, but they are very cost-effective units in the right situation. Lots of Clan Rats with shields scattered around, 2 Storm Vermin with halberds. He's also got some Plague Monks, looks like 2 of them, a Doom Wheel, which I don't have the tools to deal with, looks like a 3rd Plague Monk there. There's also some Death Runners hidden in the back that are currently advancing. And yeah, I think I've covered everything. May have missed a rat or two there. Looks like there are some Rat Ogres, speaking of which. But yeah, you can see we're both just kind of positioning here, trying to figure out how best to attack. None of us have artillery, so there's not really any pressure to attack right off the bat. So yeah, we're going to try and take this engagement as carefully as possible. The real danger for me is if I get my cav dragged down by the Storm Vermin. They're way in the back here, which is a great position for them to be in because they can respond. Granted, I'm going to be able to probably collapse a few units in the front line before Jonton can really respond there, but if he's able to get them in the second phase, because of course Skaven are very good in the second and third quarter, so to speak, where they are, you know, rallying a lot of their units, summoning up more, you know, just keeping that pressure up. But yeah, you can see Zintler's Reiksguard going to come in. And the Doom Wheel, because it didn't get a good charge, is actually going to do pretty poorly here. Volkmar parading through the forest, going to be duking it out here with these Skaven slaves, and obviously Skaven slaves will probably get terrified away very, very quickly. Fortunately, Volkmar is taking some damage here from the Skaven. He's got that Rod of Corruption, Lever of Bonicus, and the trophy heads from the Assassin. Looks like the Rat Ogres and some Plague Monks also coming in there. We're going to move up with the Fire Wizard and try and drop a Burning Head here to burn out some of these Skaven slaves and Clan Rats. That's going to leave this Doom Wheel all alone and exposed here to take damage from the Zintler's Reiksguard, who do have Cascading Fire Cloak, or just did rather, to give them a bit of extra AP. A little bit of miss micro here by my Pistoliers, which is most unfortunate. I definitely want to pull them back and skirmish rather than taking that melee engagement. Banishment going down on top of those Plague Monks, because obviously they're a much higher value unit, those swordsmen. But Reiksguard just collapsing in and around. It's a very wild fight. So yeah, at this point the Doom Wheel's caught up on some Empire Spears. I probably honestly should have just kept my Reiksguard in there fighting it, because we need to finish this thing off as quickly as possible. But it does look like the Reiksguard coming back around for another timing push. The Sigmar Sons here fighting Rat Ogres, and honestly the Rat Ogres by themselves won't do necessarily great here. We did pull the Flagellants into the back line to deal with the Death Runners who I saw coming in, and Death Runners will not trade cost effectively with Flagellants, especially once they get terrified away there. But they will be able to escape, because the Skaven infantry obviously are much faster than the Empire infantry. Reiksguard getting a nice charge on some Plague Monks there. The Zintler's Reiksguard are a little bit overexposed here, and this is what I was talking about in terms of like the second level positioning, or even third level positioning of those Storm Vermin. Now that my Reiksguard are bogged down in the back line here, the Storm Vermin are going to inundate them. He's also got the Doom Wheel back in a safe position, so balance power is still pretty even though at this point. I'm going to be able to get over here and terrify away a few more troops. Got Reiksguard in and around the periphery, cleaning up routing units as much as possible. Did manage to get some of my Pistoliers out and away free, so we're going to be shooting at some of these Plague Monks here, which of course, very good target, high value, and low armor. So you can see the volume of fire here from these Skaven Slave Slingers, despite the fact that they have the crappiest damage stats. I don't even know if that's a word, but it is now. The worst damage stats and accuracy. They are still going to do a tiny bit of damage over time, especially with 4 units all cross-firing like that. But that being said, we're going to try and roll up this flank here. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to let some of these units escape. These Death Runners did manage to rally and are running from those Flagellants. The Flagellants are not able to keep up there. Obviously, they're not as fast. But Doomwheel interrupting my Pistoliers here, who are trying to get through into this back line and start cleaning up some of these routing units to then free up my Reiksguard to come help with the front line, because right now I'm having to use my Reiksguard to clean up a lot of these routing units. But yeah, Storm Vermin, I do hit them with a rear charge hill, but it's an uphill rear charge, and it's not the best, so they're probably going to turn around and take some damage there. But the rear charges is how I'm going to have to deal with the Storm Vermin, because I really don't have the infantry power to deal with them. More looks like Plague Monks being summoned there. Yep, and Clan Rats, so Skrolk being very active and just throwing more and more bodies on the field, and you can see the Skaven are up to 2,500 total troop count, so just way too many bodies for me to deal with. You can see the balance power starting to go against me, despite the fact I have Reiksguard marauding around the back line, you know, cleaning up routing units. There's just so many rats here to deal with. There's way too more bodies than we can deal with. Another banishment going down, getting some really good damage done on those Plague Monks. Volkmar is relatively healthy, but I do get my Bright Wizard caught here, which is pretty unfortunate. The Warrior Priest that was in the front line, I failed to mention earlier, also got caught and routed off there by the Assassin. I kind of wished I would have brought him on a horse so I could run him around with the cavalry rather than having him with the infantry fight, because my infantry really wasn't going to hold up super well anyway to a bunch of Plague Monks. But, you know, it's all a bit of give and take, especially with a player as good as Jonton. But, yeah, you can see I'm charging through with these Reiksguard, just trying to tear out different pockets and clean up units as much as possible, especially these Storm Vermin. If we can terrify away the Storm Vermin and then clean them up as they're routing, that will be the ideal situation, because we'll take very little damage while doing so. Pulling back these Pistoliers is going to get caught up by more Storm Vermin, but again, we're just doing little bits of damage here and there wherever we can, but definitely should try not to get caught as much as possible. But yeah, just running away from this Assassin here is the Bright Wizard. We've got the Warrior Priest online, but it looks like the Assassin's got his sights set on him, and the Warrior Priest, as good as he is, will definitely get domed by this Skaven Assassin. No question about that with the trophy heads involved. But yeah, you can see Reiksguard unfortunately going to get terrified away by that Doomwheel, which has come back in the 4th quarter and is really going to do some nice work here. You can see we're, again, skirmishing away from these Plague Monks, but just not doing enough damage quickly enough. Their physical resistance definitely helps. And I feel like Pistoliers have had some buffs recently. They're decent. You guys will see me use them relatively often, but I still feel like they could use a little bit more missile damage. They're just even like a little bit more non-AP missile damage, just so they do more damage overall. But because they have relatively short range, I feel like to compensate they should do more damage per volley than other skirmish units. In a situation like this where they can get some open shots, they'll do okay, but they've lost a lot of unit models, and you know, they just don't do that much damage, especially with the physical resistance of the Plague Monks. So yeah, at this point the balance power is starting to sour more and more. We might be able to bring things back a little bit here, but at this point Volkmar is taking damage. He's trying to run away from the Doomwheel, and we're going to have to screen out with these Reiksguard here, which is not the best, especially since we're charging into Storm Vermin. Didn't quite get their bracing bonus, so they are going to take some decent shock damage there. But yeah, it's not great having to charge into Storm Vermin with your Reiksguard, but can see Skrolk's running away from those Flagellants. We've got Reiksguard trying to clean up some Skaven Slave Slingers on the periphery. Spearmen with shields chasing some routing units, unfortunately. Let's see here. These Skaven Slave Slingers still online, unfortunately. And you can see just the leadership damage is enough to rout off some of these Pistoliers and other units. The Fire Wizard, though, is still online, very importantly. So very nicely played there, summoning up some Clan Rats to block up those Flagellants and deal some more damage to them. And yeah, it's gonna be rough. We'll fast forward a little bit through this late game as there's a whole bunch of positioning. You can see the Flagellants kind of getting cleaned up there, but the Reiksguard do come in and kind of spring them loose, and Jonton's doing a great job of not letting his Doomwheel get too exposed, because even with how tattered my Reiksguard are, if I were to get like a good side or rear charge with a unit of them, they could do a substantial amount of damage. So Jonton's doing a great job sticking with these Storm Vermin, because if I was able to take down the Doomwheel, I might be able to bring the balance of power back. You can see it is creeping back in my favor, although it's definitely still in Jonton's favor at the moment. But yeah, we've been able to clean up a handful of units, and we're going to try and just play the positioning game. You know, try and just reposition continuously until we get the favorable position that we want, and then run in. The Flagellant's going to run in here and fix these guys in place. We've got a little bit of a plan for a nice overcast burning head if we can get a good engagement. Jonton is going to hook in here with into a defensive position with these Storm Vermin, and then Skrolk and the Assassin are going to come in. We've got Volkmar providing the Grand Shield of Faith to give us a bit of damage resistance in this pocket, and I believe there's an overcast burning head incoming. It looks like the Bright Wizard hasn't quite popped it off yet, but here comes the template. And it is going to come in here and do quite a bit of damage, roasting out a whole bunch of those Storm Vermin. And then, of course, Volkmar with his Terror might be able to tear out away a few of them. Unfortunately, I'm not really in a good position. My Reiksguard are on the wrong side here. If they were over here on this other side, they could actually chase this terrified Storm Vermin without taking any damage. The balance power has gone back to pretty much even, though, with those Storm Vermin being terrified away. This Doom Wheel also could potentially be in a rough situation. I honestly should be probably charging it a bit more aggressively with my Bright Wizard. If I can get like a rear charge with him, he'll be able to do some damage to it. But yeah, because my Reiksguard weren't in the appropriate position to capitalize on that terror route there, I'm going to lose an opportunity. Those Storm Vermin do come back from routing, unfortunately, and I pretty much lost the one good opportunity I had from that overcast burning head. But we'll see. There's still quite a bit of time on the balance power. Is relatively even. So we'll see. Rod of Corruption going down is not going to be great. That will drain out what's left of these Spearmen and Reiksguard very, very quickly. And so I am on a bit of a timer, because the more times that that Rod of Corruption goes off, the worse it'll be. We do terrify away one more unit of Storm Vermin once again, but again, I'm not going to capitalize here with my Reiksguard. They're, you know, just on the wrong side here. I really need to hook them up and around, but the other unit of Storm Vermin, they're kind of fleeing towards them, so it's not the best situation. But yeah, these two Pistoliers also would have been really nice at that moment to chase some of those terrified units. But still, you know, it's slowly going more and more in Jonton's favor as this late game drags on. We were almost able to bring it back here, but I don't think we're quite going to have enough in the tank. You can see anytime my units get close to this Doom Wheel, they're just going to get terrified away. So that's the biggest issue I'm running into at this point, is just the terror from that Doom Wheel is not... I'm not getting as good a value from the terror from Volkmar as he is from the terror from that Doom Wheel, unfortunately. So yeah, you can see Volkmar's going to come in, get interrupted by that Doom Wheel, and then Skrolk will get a nice hit on him. Thankfully, he doesn't have magic resistance, so he'll mitigate some of Skrolk's damage here. But the Reiksguard are going to come in, get a good rear charge there, and do some damage to the Doom Wheel. You can see it dropping down a little bit there. They were able to get a couple hits. And the Bright Wizard, I believe, is also probably going to come attack in just a moment here, as we're getting more and more desperate to finish off this late game here. I do have one more pocket burning head. It's not going to be overcast, unfortunately, but we're going to line this up here and try and roast out some of these rats here, see if we can't terrify a few more away. We do get the burnt effect at least applied on some of them, and will it be enough to terrify away any of the Storm Vermin? Yes, indeed. One of them does get terrified away, but I just don't have the number of Reiksguard left to chase them. So unfortunately, a couple of missed opportunities there with some terror routes to finish off those Storm Vermin in the late game. You can see there the Bright Wizard did come in and get a good rear charge, did some okay damage to the Doom Wheel. If we had been doing that a bit more aggressively throughout this entire late game process, I might have been able to win. It's hard to say. But still very well played to Jonton. He is going to carry this one out at this point. The Reiksguard are gone. Doom Wheel's very, very low, but it's just the Bright Wizard. We've got some Rallied Swordsmen and some other units, but for all intents and purposes, the battle is pretty much over at this point. So very well played to Jonton. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that one. It's an interesting matchup, and definitely one that I think goes in the Empire's favor. Now, granted, I didn't bring Final Cheese Mutation because that's very effective against the Skaven. They don't have any regenerating lords, and I don't think Skrolk or anyone else has magic resistance either. So similar to problem to the Greenskins, low leadership and squishy lords means Final Cheese Mutation can definitely cheese them out, so to speak. But thankfully, I recognize that this was Jonton because we played a bit yesterday together, and I respect him enough not to do that, although occasionally I might, you never know. But anyway, Volkmar is probably the next best pick. That Banishment is really, really good against clearing out Skaven infantry. He has the magic resistance and the missile resistance to be mostly immune to Warp Lightning. He has regen, and the buffs as well he carries now are very, very good. The Warrior Priest ended up being a little bit of a wasted investment. I honestly should have taken a Witch Hunter instead, or else put this guy up on a horse and run him with like the Royal Alt of Gryphites, for example. I really didn't have the tools to deal with the Doom Wheel, and the Altdorf Griffites, of course, would have been just such a tool. The Pistoliers did okay, although I'm a little bit underwhelmed. I probably would have traded them out for something else, but again, hindsight's 2020. The Reichsguard, though, did very, very well. Probably would have liked to have had one more unit of Reichsguard just to help ride down rats. Flagellants also did very decently. I'm quite happy with how they performed, especially against the Death Runners there. They traded really cost-effectively. Fortunately, we weren't able to catch them, but the Bright Wizard as well, very strong pick in this matchup. That Burning Head especially could just roast out tons and tons of rats, which he definitely did. But overall, very close battle, very fun battle. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button. Be sure to check out Total Brohammer for more awesome content from John Ton and Skrolkmar, and keep it right here for more Total War Warhammer content from myself. We'll see you next time.